And man, every time he speaks like that, that accent, that Australian accent, is just really incredible to me. How people in general can speak more than one language, and I really like that. I really like that. I mean, I wish I could do the same thing, man. I just have to study. I can, but I have to study to make sure that everything would be good. But it's totally gratifying every time he does that. So anyway, we certainly appreciate Mr. Ken McCoy, our entertainment reporter, for calling in on the Jeffrey Henderson Show and doing the report. He did that report live from BET, actually the pre-show, and they're going to have the other show, the main show, live tomorrow, and will be televised live from the Shrine Auditorium. Okay, well, we're going to get into our show now. I'm going to, you know what, I'm going to have Ann say her first and last name, and then we're going to get into this show. We kind of go from there. I'm trying to relax a little bit, man. He had me laughing my head off. Oh, man. But anyway, it's a good thing. Okay, so first and last name, looking in the camera.
My name is Ann Deschenes.
All right. How you doing, Ann?
I'm great. What about you, Jeffrey? Thank you so much for having me on your show.
No problem. Thanks for coming out, being a part of the Jeffrey Henderson Show. I want to thank Buddy Sampson so much for inviting you. I want to say that again. I want to thank Buddy Sampson so much for inviting you here on today. Man, he's been calling me, and man, now we're here, now we're doing it. I'm going to cut this radio off a little bit, and I'm going to cut the music in the background off, I'm sorry to say, and then so we can get into this. There. Now, is that a little bit better for you? Now I can kind of think. That music was just had me going, so now we can really talk and expound on what's going on. So, man, there's so much going on with your career. I got a chance to do a little reading on you too as well. And you kind of into motorcycles, huh?
Yes, indeed. I love motorcycles.
You love motorcycles. How long you been riding motorcycles?
The first motorcycles I had, I was 18.
18 years old?
Indeed, yeah.
Really? Okay.
I had it just for about 2-3 months. I bought it in Quebec, and the problem is in December with 4 feet of snow, it's kind of difficult to ride, so I gave it up. But I went back to it in 2004.
2004? I like that. 2004. That's when.
In California.
In California?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
All right, so, man, you have like a French accent. Are you French?
I'm French-Canadian.
French-Canadian?
From a very small little village in the north of Quebec.
Really? Oh, my God. That's where you grew up?
That's where I grew up.
Okay, how was it out there?
It was amazing. I was able to spend a lot of time outdoors and practicing a lot of sports. I was able to ride a ski-doo at the age of 5. My parents are super cool.
All right.
Yeah.
So what made you get into motorcycles?
The feeling of freedom. I read a novel when I was teenager, and I fell in love with the feeling of freedom and empowerment that you feel on a motorcycle.
Man, doing 95 miles an hour on a motorcycle, man, that's a rush to me.
Yeah, try 180.
See? I was being nice. I was being nice. See? See, you do it for a living, and I was just being nice because I don't know. I don't know at all how that all works out. That's why you're here today, so you could tell us exactly how that works. You know, how long you been riding?
Really since 2004, except the few months I rode.
Okay.
20-something years back.
Wow. So that's your passion?
Yes, it is. Many things is my passion, but this is kind of a vehicle to be able to experience many things.
Okay.
It's kind of like a parallel for life. I love to ride on the track because it's very safe.
All right. So how long you been riding on the track?
On the track since
racing.
2006. I went to the Freddie Spencer High Performance Riding School in Las Vegas. And Freddie Spencer is pretty amazing, 3-time world champion. He created the school for safety first, and that's how he promoted it. But it's given on a racetrack, and it's really race courses. Everything is transferable to the street, and that's how I started. But after the first day on the track, I was hooked, and I moved to Vegas to train with him for a year.
How many times did you have to lose before you got a chance to win?
Well, winning what and losing what? I feel I'm a winner for trying.
Do you feel that when you lose, you win?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, I will tell you, in 2007 was the first year that I raced with Wera West. And my lap time was not fast enough to be a racer. However, I was able to keep my lines. I was extremely safe. And even if a rider would touch me at 100-something miles an hour, I didn't budge. And because of that, they allowed me to race. I ended up finishing that series third overall in the 40 years old and over.
Not bad. Not bad. So now how many motorcycles were racing in that race? And you came in third. How many people was out there?
I could tell you that there were much less that finished the race than those that started, because they were all guys and they had a little bit too much of the throttle going, so many of them would crash. So thanks to that, I was able to get points every single race, although I came last at every single race.
Wow.
So how could you win about that?
Wow.
So,
yeah, that's kind of difficult, ain't it?
But I won third overall that way. And what's cool about that is that when you have a dream and you go for it, you go for it. You don't know how God's going to make things and work it out.
That's right.
I was looking at my goal, how I want to get, where I want to get, and God worked it out. People gave a little bit too much throttle, they crashed.
Wow.
I got the point.
Wow. That is good. That's amazing.
It's funny, I think.
How hard is it to qualify for a race?
Yeah, it's difficult. You need a lot of training. You have to be extremely safe on the track.
Yeah.
And you have to prove that. And the rules are strict. There's no drugs, no alcohol. They're pretty good about.
So what is their testing process for that?
You take a course and then you do a licensing test that includes writing and riding. And somebody's following you in the back to see how you're going to do. Usually lap time is part of it. And then after you get your license or not, you get a mock race, a little practice to see how you're going to do. And there's several judges who decide if you're a safe rider, and that's how it goes.
Wow. Okay, now in qualifying, is there a time frame that you have to stay within some type of guidelines?
In the amateur Wera's the biggest club in the USA, no, there's no qualifier. But when we get to the AFM, which is a northern motorcycle club, they're semi-professional. Then they require a specific lap time for each track. So each track has its own requirement, and then it depends also which category you race. If you race in a 600 category, the lap time is going to be different than in a 1000 or in a 250.
All right, so did you ever win a race? Did you ever win? Number one.
I got the third place. Is this good enough?
That was the closest you got?
That's the closest I got.
All right, now you got to come back on the Jeffrey Henderson show when you get to that number one spot. Okay? This is fun. We'll take 3 right now. But
sounds good.
When you get that number one spot, I want you to call me or call Buddy or call somebody and come back down to the Jeffrey Henderson show, man, because that right there is what it's all about. Because I want to understand, I want from you that feeling of gratification behind being number one amongst all of these guys that you have to race against. Do you feel like you had a disadvantage being a female?
Oh no, I had a great advantage.
All right. See, that's what you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to take the hard questions too.
I had some.
No, but I mean, you would think it would be a distraction for the guys.
Yeah.
So you'd think it'd be a plus for you.
Yeah.
It seems like it'd be an advantage versus a disadvantage.
Exactly.
That's my point.
Exactly. I agree. Plus, guys that liked me, they were very careful in passing me, so they'd be extra careful and losing time.
See what I'm talking about?
Gentlemen, I love them.
That's what I'm talking about. See?
Now, another thing is being light on a bike. Weight is very important.
All right, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the bike. Let's talk about the weight classifications on a bike. Do you have to have something a certain weight in order to qualify too, or could it be too big or not big enough, or too small, or whatever? How's that work?
Each motorcycle have its own